court. Across the timeline with 10. Knocked away. Dudley Bradley. Dudley Bradley for the stop. 70 to 68. 3, 2, 1. Matthews off balance, off the glass. Dudley Bradley's defense did it. And ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma.
Turns it over. Kenny Williams with the steal. Gets it to Barry. 17 seconds to go. Barry, Duke not fouling. Gets it to Johnson, to Pinson for the highlight. Inbounds goes deep on the right sideline to make. Holy smokes, a long three! Are you kidding me? Holy cow! Pinson gets all the way to the rim, and what a way to pick up his first field goal of the season by throwing down the tomahawk.
With 20 seconds left to play, goes back to Michael Jordan, jumper from out on the left, good! 63-62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Fred Brown looking. Oh, way to Worthy. Worthy 5. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship.
Rebounded by Weber. Michigan out of timeout. Weber front court. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out to Head. Long outside shot. Short rebounded. It's over. Carolina has won the national championship. How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
That's it. Make room for 2017. The Tar Heels are the national daggum champions.
This is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Joshua Marlowe. Hey everybody, we're back in another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast powered by Carolina Electrical Services. For all your electrical needs, call Jacob Marlowe at 704-320-7357. Josh and Anthony, we're here with you as always, and today we're going to look at Leaky Black's freshman season as we continue our dive into recapping individual players' years. And Leaky had a not so great year as a freshman. What all his fault, because he suffered a major ankle injury that derailed his year. And it seemed at the time when he got hurt, which was the blowout win at Georgia Tech, he had finally was starting to understand the scheme on defense, what to do on offense, had finally got a little bit of a role more, getting more consistent minutes, getting about 10 to 12 minutes a night, suffered the ankle injury at Georgia Tech, missed a handful of games, and returned late into the ACC tournament, and ultimately just wasn't the same player he was earlier in the year.
Well, I mean, when you say that he didn't have the greatest freshman year, I think that's maybe compared to the other guys on the team. I mean, the numbers are not really that bad. I mean, shot 47%, that's pretty good. 42% from three, solid number as well, especially for a guy that's going to play all over like he is. This was the guy that we knew in this class was going to be the most work. That sounds kind of messed up, but it was going to take him a little more time. He was the one guy in the class that we knew for sure was not a one and done. We thought, okay, Kobe probably won't go, but there is a slim chance. We knew with Leaky, okay, that's not going to happen. He's going to be a guy that's going to take some time to develop. And, I think you were right. He started the year a little bit slower than, maybe some people had hoped. But as the season started going along, he started showing some signs. Actually was playing a little bit of a significant role before the ankle injury. And ultimately, we've learned since the season has ended that the ankle injury was a little more severe than was being let on. So towards the end of the year when he was playing, in the ACC tournament and then eventually in the NCAA tournament, he was nowhere near 100%, it doesn't seem like, from the phrasing that Roy used in his press conference about a week ago now. So, I mean, I don't know how – it's kind of weird because, we talked about it on a couple of the earlier podcasts, he's almost like a redshirt freshman because he didn't play a ton when you actually look back on it. He played enough to where we got to look at him and saw, some of what he can do and maybe where he fits in. But there's still a lot to learn about Leaky Black.
Yeah, this was a guy before injury. I had kind of developed my man crush on the team for him because he was starting to do the little things that I like, which was he'd grab a rebound and push the ball. I love the size he has for the positions he's going to play. He's so long. Defensively, he was noted as the most advanced defender Roy Williams had ever coached as a freshman. And so there's just so much to love about the potential of the player he's going to be. We just didn't get to see it because of – although there was a limited depth on the team, the backcourt was fairly deep to enough where he wasn't getting a whole bunch of minutes. Mm-hmm. But this is a guy I've asked not Roy Williams. I asked Jones Angel and Adam Lucas in postseason interviews, who's the one guy on this team you expect to take the next step and really be a different and better player going into the next year? And both of them didn't even hesitate to say Leaky Black. He might be, outside of Cole Anthony, the most gifted player on this team. He has a potential to have a really good jump shot. We've mentioned the length of what he can do defensively, his size. We saw it in the win at Raleigh, his size to see over the press, to make good passing plays. He's got everything you want in a really good basketball player. And also he can play the 1, the 2, and the 3. The position flexibility, I think, is what makes him the most desirable in a game that's now becoming less and less positionless, where you can just put 5 guys on the floor and just play. With Leaky, you can do that.
I mean, we hammered it home how many times before the season began on this podcast, and then even during the season when we got our first looks at him. This kid is Theo Pinson, just a little bit bigger, and I think a guy that probably can play the point guard position a little bit better, more of a floor general, I think, than Theo.
And he's more naturally gifted shooting the ball.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. It's weird because Theo was apparently a shooter coming out of high school, from everything that we've heard, and that just was never what we saw from him at the college level, and we've seen that from other guys. But I think, we saw a little bit of it from the, I mean, there weren't a ton of scenarios where Leaky was shooting the ball. He was a guy that I thought was better passing the basketball last year than he was shooting the basketball, mainly just because we didn't see it a whole lot. But he's a guy that, like you said, he can play anywhere on the floor. And that's why when we were going through that period where we were, without a point guard, where, we were without a guy at the 3 spot, we were a little bit, we were still a little bit confident because Leaky can play all these different positions. Now, with everybody coming in that we got in this class, he's pretty much free to be able to move wherever. I mean, he could play anywhere from the 3 to the 1. And I think that's what's got to be really encouraging. I think that he's a guy that, kind of plays the way Roy Williams wants to. He's not going to be a guy that's just going to stand behind the 3-point line and shoot the ball all the time. He's a guy that I thought moves relatively well without the basketball. Not great, but for a freshman, moved pretty well without the basketball. I think that he's got what it takes to get up and down the floor on fast breaks when he has a chance to get out on them. And, having a guy that's going to be as gifted passing the basketball, especially if you don't have to have him at point guard, you can have that as your small forward or 3. That's going to be pretty crazy to have someone that can pass the basketball as well as he can as your 3 guy.
Yeah, his vision is something that you love at the size. He knows how to pass, and I mean, like he knows when to put the bounce pass or how to chest pass to the right and really put the ball in the right spots for the shooters that you had last year and this year. You're going to have guys that you're going to be passing to that can shoot the ball really well. Cole Anthony, Kelling, Pierce, these are guys that are known shooters. He understands where to put the ball so when they catch it, they can get into their jump shot. He has all these lofty expectations entering this year because of everything we just spent 5 minutes babbling about.
Right.
Where do you want to see him improve his game the most? For me, it's not necessarily seeing him improve him. I want to see him, when he's on the floor for 25 to 30 minutes a night, be aggressive on the offensive end. Because how many guys in this league are going to check you at your size?
Right.
He might be able to get to the rim at will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I don't see from him, because we didn't get to see it last year because of the injury and the clogged backcourt. So that's what I'm kind of looking to see is he aggressive enough with all the talent he has?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was looking as well. He's going to be a guy that I want to see be able to get the basketball inside, especially if you're going to be the general ball handler in certain situations. I do think that when I look at him, one of the main things that I want to see from him, and again, he's kind of hard to say improve, like you said, because we didn't see a ton of him. We saw even less of him than we saw of most of our other guys. So with him, I want to see him become that guy that because we're probably going to use him at point guard, we got to have a guy that can take care of the basketball there, because we don't have that veteran guy at that position right now. Cole Anthony, really talented player. We know that. He is probably going to have moments where he will struggle with turnovers.
There's no probably. It's part of it.
Of course.
As a freshman point guard in the toughest system maybe in college basketball to run.
And to ask a guy like Leaky that, as I just said earlier, is basically a redshirt freshman to be that guy that takes care of the basketball, it's a little bit lofty, but I would like to see him become that type of guy. That would be the area that I'd like to see him, I guess, improve. Again, that's kind of tough. There's just not a whole lot that I can complain about from seeing him on the floor. Just about everything that I watched from him gave me a lot of hope about what he can do for the future. It was just very limited, and once he got injured, even more limited. We saw him rarely in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. He was put in basically in moments where we really just didn't have much other choice but to throw him out there.
So moving forward, and we'll wrap this up, where do you see him fitting on the floor? Is he the point guard of the future? Is he a shooting guard or a small forward? I think moving forward, and Roy Williams has echoed this, that he thinks long-term he's a point guard. I think this year it's kind of hard to see him running the point, because I think Cole Anthony's going to be a lot like Kobe White, where for him to create, he needs the ball in his hand. He's not going to do a whole lot without the ball. Mm-hmm. But I think if we expect Leaky to be on campus at least another year, maybe even all 4. I think in the long run, this is going to be a point guard for Carolina basketball. Do you echo that, or do you have a different opinion?
It really just depends on how they recruit certain positions. I think, look, Roy said that he ultimately thinks he's a point guard. I'm going to go with the man that's got 3 rings sitting on his finger. But at the same time, I could see him as a 3 going forward, depending on if they're able to get someone at that spot. But you're just looking at the guys that are offered in the 20 class, it looks like they're probably going to go ahead and let Leaky make that move to point guard and focus on trying to get someone in at that 3 spot. So if you were twisting my arm on what position he's going to play, I would say probably the 1. But if he was to make that move almost permanently to the 3, I wouldn't be overly shocked either. You know what's going to happen, right? He'll be a 2. Well, he'll just blow all of us away and say, yep, I'm going to play the shooting guard position.
The other thing you think about is we got incoming in this class, Anthony Harris can play the point guard or the shooting guard. So that's why when they move into the 2020
and Jeremiah Francis is still there too. Can't forget about him.
They're going to have some more position flexibility in the backcourt,
right?
Which kind of makes it interesting to do with Leaky and with Anthony. But like I said, this is a sport that's becoming less and less positionless. It's all about putting 5 guys on the floor that can play together. And with guys like Leaky Black and Anthony Harris, it makes it a little bit easier to do that. So that's it for Leaky Black's season review. It was quick, kind of like his season was, only getting to play in 23 games. So we're going to go and shut this down. But before we let you go, we got a special treat for you. If you missed the episode on Monday where we had a chance to sit down and interview former Tar Heel player and head coach Matt Doherty, I'm throwing that in this episode as well for you guys that might have missed it. Go in here, listen to this. It was really a fun interview. I know Anthony and I had a blast. Really appreciated the honesty from